Childhood was great. I mean, I've got a mom and dad who've been married. They've been married for 54 years, 55 years now.
I moved around a lot. My dad left when I was 2.
My dad was a bad alcoholic. My mother was a bad alcoholic.
My biological mother didn't. She was an addict, alcoholic. Anything.
I had a good childhood, good parents, raised in a Christian family.
But then there was no, I remember being drunk at one party my freshman year. I remember one time getting pretty drunk, maybe throwing up.
And I was 12, and I was with my dad on New Year's Eve. And it was a Budweiser.
Down there. But one day we got this candy, and I was trying to find a hiding spot for it. So I reached down underneath the bar thing, and I was trying to hide my candy. And I found this little secret door thing that fell off by accident. I wasn't trying to look for it. And there was this bottle of, now I know what it is. It's root beer schnapps. And, I was sucking on that, and that tasted good,
And then one night I asked them, I was like, why do you guys never go to sleep? You guys are always up. And they're like, oh, here, try a little bit of this. And I did. And right from there, I knew I was dealing.
I didn't know it right away, but everybody else did. Like my mother, my grandparents, my friends. They're like, dude, all you do is drink. And I'm like, yeah, so.
I didn't feel any effect. I guess I didn't do it right. I didn't smoke it deeply enough, properly. I was an inexperienced user, so I didn't get high that time.
I mean, I'm living in this motel. I got 3 changes of clothes. Everything else is in storage. I'm hand washing my clothes in the shower, hanging drying them while I'm at work. I'm living like this bum in this piece of crap motel. Everybody around me is meth people or transient. It's the budget inn. And even the lady who runs the motel is telling me, you got a serious drinking problem, Dave,
Hey with it. I didn't like myself. I didn't feel that I deserved anything, and that was partially the reason why I drank so much. I thought I was a lost cause. A damaged, broken home, abandoned vet.
Here and there I would snort some dope, on the weekends. Not really, it wasn't a big thing, It's weird because, some people get addicted to certain things. I mean, I walked away from that stuff like I had never even done it. But alcohol, I couldn't. I couldn't live without the taste.
And I remember I started keeping my weed in these little, the pill bottles with prescription, keeps the smell down. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and for the first time, I was worrying about, okay, where am I going to get my next bag when I still had like half of it left?
Alcohol became so much a part of my life that I would start drinking in the mornings. It didn't matter when. I'd even drink at work. I mean, not get smashed or nothing, but enough to calm down the shakes. It started to affect my health.
The last thing, my daughter said, like a year prior to me getting here, I called her up and was talking to her, and she was real short with me. And I told her, I said, I love you. And she goes, you don't love me. And I was speechless. What am I supposed to say when your own kid tells you that? She goes, Dad, if you loved me, you would have quit drinking. It was too late now. It was too late. I couldn't stop anymore. I lost my job. I didn't have insurance. It was too late. I was done. And so I came to the realization that, I started crying about it, and I just started drinking more.
Left their house one day, and I didn't come back. Left all my stuff there, and I just hit the streets. I didn't have anywhere else to go at that point. And I'm 22 at that point, going on 23. And I just, hit the streets, and I was living homeless for about a year and a half, bouncing around, couch surfing, and drinking a lot.
The 1st of October, I ended up going to the mental ward for 20-some days or something, and I got out on a Friday. My mentor picked me up and took me down to the Knucklehead Retreat, which is my home group in AA, and he said, look, I called Roger, and they do take felons, and I'm dropping you off there on Sunday night. You're going to have an interview with them on Monday, and if you leave there, just don't ever come back to our home group, or I don't want nothing to do with you either. And while I was at the retreat, Arlie's like, told me the same thing. If you don't go there and stay there, and you don't get in, it's on your own doing, and I don't want nothing to do with you no more either. And as everyone knows, she was pregnant at the time, so I was like, we're gonna try this thing, and that's how I found it here.
So I called, and Roger answered on the first ring.
My dad said, I'll pick you up. And he picked me up to detox. And he picked me up on September 11th from the motel, piled me up on September 11th, and I was already drunk that morning. And so he bought me, just to ooze my way through the rest of the day. My mom wasn't around. He says, your mom will kill me. He'd never bought me booze in my life. He bought me 2 Mike's Hard Lemonades and said, that's it. Let's go home. They live on 20 acres. We went to his place. I sat there and talked to him for a while, drank those, and then September 12th became my sobriety date. I stayed there for about till the 18th, and then I came here and met Roger.
And like, go to rehab? No. That was my first thought. No way, no how. Not gonna do it. No.
So I knew there was God, but I never accepted God. I never wanted anything to do with God. And then it was the first Wednesday night Bible study when they said, bring your big book to Bible study. And I was downstairs, and Rod was the RA at the time, and I was like, these yes, there's God mentioned in the big book, but there's nowhere in the Bible that they compare to each other. And we sat there and we read through it, and the verse compared exactly to the 3 paragraphs in the big book, and I said, all right, I've gotta accept God in order to do these things. And by that I mean by just like having an open mind and doing the Bible studies and actually writing them out and doing the I wills and putting them into my words. And then I found a church, and
I can give it to God. I can go pray. I can go talk to somebody. Whereas before, I just bottled it up. And I'd bottle it up so much that it would just eat at me until I had to go use so that I could get rid of those feelings.
Well, before my daughter was born, my brother came clean. Didn't come clean. He said he was gay. I turned my back on him. My whole life I protected him. I've never let nothing happen to him. He's been my little brother, and I've always been like a father figure to him, to that point. And when he needed me the most, I turned my back on him and did some mean things to him and said some horrible things. And I can't take it back. I'll never be able to take it back. But through this program, I've learned how to make amends when it's right and when it's not right, and how to go about those things. And I did make an amends letter to him in January. And just last week, he called here, asking for me. And there it is. That's how God works. I was going through a hard time with a certain situation at that point, and I was praying about it. And boom, there goes my little brother called me. And I heard the most relieving words I think I've heard in my life to this point. He said, Billy, I'm calling you to tell you before anything happens to you or anything happens to me, I don't hate you. You know what a relief that is right there? How can you forgive you? I could never have forgiven myself if he wouldn't have said that to me. I can't. How could I? I mean, I said some horrible things to him, and we talked for it was the greatest talk I've had in forever.